the Lunar Sea Spire Steven Universe fan podcast. This is episode 34, the start of Steven Bomb 3, where we'll be talking to you about Cry for Help. I'm GC13.
And I'm Ken.
Yeah, Hunter will be back with us for future episodes. His computer is finally fixed, but he could not be here with us today. So, hopefully he'll be here for some more of the Steven Bomb episodes. It'll be great to have him back.
Yeah, he was not, kicked off or anything, or he's not dead, in case anyone happened to be concerned about that. But GC, my dear GC13.
Don't even say it.
You're gonna have a hard time defending your girl this week.
Pearl is just going through a lot of stuff right now, and she needs our support.
It seems like she's been going through a lot of stuff for a lot of decades.
You know, times have been really tough for Pearl ever since, Greg Stoll rose away from her. I mean,
Stoll?
She got Steven out of the deal, but, it's still a tough transition.
It's a very, very long, tough transition. That's all I'm saying.
Gems are an ageless species. You should be happy if she ever gets over it.
Touche, I guess. All I'm saying is, Pearl, this joke is overused. I think we've even talked about it, but it's undeniable. Pearl is so thirsty, so thirsty, just for anything she can drink at all.
Maybe. But we did finally get to see the Garnet Pearl fusion, and I think I speak for a lot of our fans when I say that was not what I expected it to look like when you combine the elegant one with the mysterious one.
Yeah, definitely. Even taking it outside of the context of it being the fusion of Garnet and Pearl, we go into Steven Bomb number 3 expecting it to, or rather, we go into Steven Bomb number 3 knowing that it's called the Week of Sardonyx, and we're all wondering, oh, who's Sardonyx going to be? And then it turns out to be this fusion, which was in and of itself kind of unexpected, at least to me. And then that it has this character design is really out of nowhere.
I kind of figured that it being the Garnet Pearl fusion was definitely on the short list, at least. So I'm just glad we finally got to see her, although she is, again, not what I expected.
You say not what you expected. Is that code for not good?
That is code for not at all like Opal. I love Opal. She's my favorite fusion so far.
I'd say I enjoy Opal's character design the best out of all the fusions. Yeah, I'd agree with you. I'd say that I don't really care for Sardonyx's character design.
But, yeah, I'm not going to say Sardonyx is bad. Very different. Maybe I'll come around to her, I don't know.
I also would not say bad, but I would say that I don't particularly care for the character design. It's very close to something that I think I would like a lot, but there are definitely elements to it that I just can't really get to. Like the hair I can't really go for. And her voice as well, just something about it kind of bothers me a little bit. I think I'm making it sound like I dislike her more than I do, because my opinions are pretty lukewarm, but yeah.
I'm just trying to imagine her fighting, an actual battle in that stage magician's outfit, and I'm coming up blank here.
Right. What did you think of her personality?
Her personality was it's really hard to explain. That's half of what I mean when I say it's not what I expected. I expected somebody much more distant, much more restrained. I expected a very aloof persona.
Yeah, I definitely understand what you're saying. When we combine these two personality types, that's not at all what you expected. And that was kind of in the back of my head when watching this episode, that Sardonyx's personality doesn't really seem to make that much sense.
I mean, there's one point when she laughs where you can definitely see the Pearl influence, and I'm not just talking about the nose.
Yeah, no. Well, first off, that laugh is like a 1990s anime rich girl laugh, which is just hilarious. I like how they add all of these vague anime allusions all throughout these episodes. It's great.
Yeah, I think Pearl is on Garnet's bad list for a while here.
Yeah, this is called the Week of Sardonyx, so you go into this assuming that every episode is going to feature Sardonyx, and I mean, for all we know, it may, but it sure seems difficult to imagine how Sardonyx is going to be in any episode anytime soon with the state of their current relationship.
Well, they're saying it's a 5-episode story arc, so maybe we'll see Sardonyx at the very end, but at the very least, it looks like this is going to kick off a chain of events, because we know from a leak that the Keystone Motel happens because of the events of Cry for Help. So maybe there will be an episode to episode connection that eventually takes us to friendship being influenced by the decision to form Sardonyx.
I guess so. We shall see.
We shall see. So Amethyst got another song, a kind of a low-key song, but she did get to sing again.
Yeah, it really started out of nowhere and kind of just ended out of nowhere. I enjoyed it.
I mean, not much more to say there, but people are saying that Amethyst has really matured as a character, especially since Reformed. Definitely since Reformed. And it was actually kind of funny to see her, because I think old Amethyst would have been all about, just like in Secret Team, oh, Pearl, you're in so much trouble. But,
right.
new Amethyst actually came to Pearl's defense.
Yeah, that's a good point. Definitely did not consider that when watching the episode. But yeah, you're 110% right. Old Amethyst would have been all over Pearl being in trouble with Garnet. But yeah, she was pretty darn mature in this episode.
I do think it's funny, though, that both Pearl and Amethyst, they want to feel strong by fusing with Garnet. And even when, it doesn't occur to either of them that there is another option if they want to feel stronger. So I wonder, why don't they form Opal anymore? I mean, because
they really just don't like it, I guess.
A lot of people make fun of, because that's, even when that was the first thing to come out, I'm like, man, they are arguing like an old married couple, and they don't, quote unquote, fuse anymore because they find each other's personalities to be irritating. Right. Speaking of the quote unquote fuse, I mean, the people who have been saying that fusion is not an allegory for sex, I don't know what they say after this episode. The subtext of sex was so thick in this episode, I think.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I think I've been saying that a lot. I guess you're on a roll today, JC.
I am a very right person.
Yeah, but it's definitely, to some degree or another, an allegory for sex. It's not a direct allegory. You can break it down pretty quickly, even break it down more quickly than you can with a lot of other allegories, but it's definitely, in part, if nothing else, an allegory for sex, and that's pretty undeniable at this point. And if you are denying it, I don't know what your justification would be.
Yeah, it's like the people saying that, oh, Garnet's not a fusion, she just has two different cut gems that activate different color gems on the door for some reason.
Right. I wonder if the reason Sugilite didn't say anything, besides the fact that her saying anything was completely unnecessary in this episode, but if they had been able to get Nicki Minaj, I wonder if they would have.
Well, I know that from video games, you don't bring a voice actor into the studio just to record a few lines. So I guess we can take this to mean that we're not going to be seeing all that much Sugilite this season.
Right.
Because, they probably would have, if she'd been in the studio to do some voice work for another episode, you figure they would have tossed in a line for this one, but since she's completely silent, I'm assuming no Sugilite.
Good detective work, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's an inference.
Yeah.
Well, I mentioned the allegory for sex thing, and I kind of sidetracked myself.
Okay, no, on the topic of it being an allegory for sex, so Garnet's reaction, not only does she feel, betrayed because Pearl lied to her, but, that means, if we're continuing with this allegory, that Pearl had sex with her under false pretenses, which a lot of people would consider equivalent or the exact same thing, literally rape. So Garnet's reaction in that sense, and we already know, how incredibly, personal and intimate Garnet particularly finds fusion to be, so her anger is, quite justified, yeah. At least from her perspective. And I really don't see how their relationship is going to mend at the end of this 5-episode arc.
Well, hopefully she'll develop a little bit more sympathy for Pearl. Because, like I said, Pearl and Amethyst are kind of in a situation that Garnet never really has to deal with very much, being Garnet all the time.
Right.
So maybe seeing things from Pearl's point of view would help her understand why Pearl made a foolish decision and therefore not hold it against her so hard.
Yeah, hopefully. I was surprised that Garnet wasn't able to see through Pearl's plan either through Future Vision, which they bring up, but it does seem, given the glimpses of how Future Vision works we've had in previous episodes, that her Future Vision would work in such a way that she would have known that it was Pearl doing that. But even putting that aside, you would think that once they actually fused, and since they had a very stable, very good fusion, you would think that maybe their thoughts would be shared. I guess it doesn't really work that way.
Yeah, we know that there is some transfer from the old personalities to the new one, like Opal knew Steven's song, and, Ruby and Sapphire knew who Steven was, even though they had never seen him, or at least never seen him as somebody who's old enough to remember them. So we know that there's some transfer back and forth, but not enough for Sardonyx to be aware of, Pearl's plan.
Right.
Or at least if she knows, she doesn't care. She just likes being herself. And Garnet can't pick up on her knowledge.
Right. Another interesting mechanic to fusion.
Yeah. Such a mystery. We really need Steven to fuse with one of the gems.
I wonder what that's going to be like. That would be cool to see.
That would be nuts. I know there are people saying that maybe he can't fuse with gems. I'm like, if his gem can merge his fleshy body with Connie's fleshy body, I don't think it'll have any trouble when one of those bodies is malleable by nature.
Right.
Just want to see what Rainbow Quartz is like now that it's Steven and not Rose. Probably a total boss. It's Kevin, that must have been it.
It could be. No, it could not.
What, two of Steven's fusions talking to each other is impossible?
You're right, GC. You've convinced me. It's a completely plausible theory.
But what were you saying about the fusion dance?
It was a pretty scandalous dance, as many of them are, but when Pearl does a little shoulder shimmy, I don't know.
I don't know. I thought it was very clubby, but I thought it was fairly tame compared to the Sugalite dance.
Yeah, I guess that one was worse. Yeah, this one wasn't the worst, but I don't know. They're all just pretty darn scandalous.
I don't even think it's a set dance. It's just they dance like themselves. They dance how they feel at the time. Because
I agree with that.
Because Garnet did the whacking again, like when she formed Sugalite, but they weren't dancing at all like they did when they were demonstrating for Steven at the beginning of Alone Together.
Right.
I guess they had to improvise because there was no wall. In case anybody's seen the comic.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It was, what do you guys do if there's no wall? And Pearl's like, oh, well, that's easy. We just... Garnet, what do we do if there's no wall? There's always been a wall. Garnet says there's always been a wall. That one was pretty funny.
Cool.
So we've finally seen some actual inside of the episode clips from the Crying Breakfast Friends. And I still don't understand what Steven sees in it.
It's just as terrible as we all thought it could be.
This is a really good episode. No, it isn't. We'll help. No, we won't. Garnet, always with the amendments to Steven's statements.
With her blatant honesty.
Mm-hmm. Garnet's the honest one.
I noticed that Steven has a picture of Connie above his bed. I'd never seen that before.
Yeah, somebody pointed that out. I mean, she's his friend. You'd figure... I like how Sardonyx hovered in the air, and then, pink, just chipped it with her hammer.
Yeah, that was nice. The entire scene with her taking apart the tower, that was well done.
An Amethyst's soul feeling inadequate thing. Oh, smash is a word for things other people do.
Right, I caught that. I had to watch it 2 times to catch that one, but...
Kind of feel bad for Amethyst at the start of this episode, but... Whew. So, when Garnet was really upset at Pearl. I mean, how in Secret Team, she's like, you guys can only work together when you think I'm going to kill you? I think this is why they're afraid that Garnet's going to kill him.
Right.
Because she gets like this sometimes, I guess.
I guess. Like I said earlier, it's plausible that Garnet just felt like she was raped. So, I mean, it makes sense in that context.
Well, yeah, Garnet was very clearly upset, and... Like I said, things got awkward at the temple after that.
That confrontation was really hard to watch. So the last time I felt this way about any TV show, possibly, but definitely about Steven Universe, was during Maximum Capacity, when Amethyst is confronting Greg and she turns into Rose. That I had to pause and kind of just take a break from, because I feel awkward watching just really awkward moments and confrontations on televisions. I think me and Hunter had a conversation about it when we were discussing Maximum Capacity, and I had to do the same thing here. I had to pause and take a 10-minute break before I could even finish the episode.
I didn't find it awkward. I just found it intense. Very intense. Yeah, but I am sensitive to awkwardness in episodes. I haven't experienced that kind of awkwardness in Steven Universe, though.
It doesn't happen often. I can only think of those 2 times that's even been close to happening.
So do you think in Friday's episode, I figure we're going to get a fusion involving Pearl on Friday. It's either going to be she and Garnet kiss and make up and form Sardonyx for some reason, where Sugilite could work just as well, but they decide, we should use Sardonyx for this. Or her and Amethyst build their relationship up and we get Opal. Which do you think would be more likely, or do you think we're not going to get to see either of them?
It's called the Week of Sardonyx, so I'm going to assume that it's going to end with a Sardonyx fusion. But outside of that reasoning, I don't really have a guess.
Because that was my first thing, thinking, well, it started with Sardonyx, it would kind of bookend it quite nicely to end it with Sardonyx. But I think, thinking about it more, I think that what Pearl needs is not to fuse with Garnet, but to fuse with Amethyst. I think that would be healthier. Because clearly they had a good relationship going on for them before, and they just got sick of each other. But, now that Amethyst has worked through her stuff, maybe she could help Pearl work through her stuff, and they could form Opal more often, not just for deadly situations, because that's what I was going to say before. A lot of people make fun of Pearl for saying, oh, we only fuse for deadly situations, and then say, oh, but you fuse to go out to lunch or dinner with the Maheshwarans, and then you fuse to, or to tease Greg a little bit. But I think all that means is that Pearl was talking about her and Amethyst, not Gems, because Garnet doesn't fuse for deadly situations. She fuses because Ruby and Sapphire are in love with each other.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
And, Homeworld, even ancient Homeworld was very much against that, as we've learned. You've seen the extended theme song, right?
Yeah, I did.
It was at they previewed it at the San Diego Comic-Con. For anyone who has not seen it, it has a line from each of the Crystal Gems about why they fight. Amethyst fights because Earth is the only home she's ever known. Pearl fights for Rose Quartz. And Garnet fights because on Earth it's where she's free to be herself. So they've had, this stricture against fusions at least since the era of the Crystal Gems, or Rebellion.
Seemingly.
Yeah, apparently. I mean, you don't get such a deep-seated prejudice against fusion overnight. Any other thoughts on the episode? Like I said, seeing Sardonyx was unexpected for her to be like that, but it's great now we have the triangle filled out.
Right. Both Pearl and Garnet were just so happy to fuse. I don't know, that just made me smile, seeing how very, very happy they were. And then the fact that Pearl goes and blows it makes me very sad.
Poor Pearl. Like I said,
we did it.
She's just having a rough time.
Garnet was so excited, though. She was like, we did it. She had, her fist pumped in the air. I don't know. Oh, well.
So yeah, hopefully it'll be 4 of us tomorrow talking about Keystone Motel, which I can say safely since Dakota isn't here to growl about knowing the episode title.
Right.
Yeah, I guess we will see you all tomorrow. I'm GC13.
Leave us a review on iTunes, like us on Facebook. I'm Ken.
And I'm Hunter!
Wait, when did you get here?
I just got off work and I was able to meander on into here. Just watched the new episode.
And what did you think?
So much packed into this, man. It's just, oh god, yeah. There was a lot here.
Ken and I had fun with this. How did you feel about Sardonyx?
Oh, I love it. I think so, this was fantastic. It's a little different than I thought a mix between Garnet and Pearl would be. I was definitely not seeing a performer side of it, but I like it all the same. And the idea with the hammer, that was rad. That was cool.
I mean, it made sense.
Yep, this was intense. But on the other side of it, we definitely saw a lot of telling things for the gems. We saw that it's to Pearl and Amethyst, it definitely means something. Being able to fuse with Garnet. It's interesting to see that, considering the two of them didn't really want to fuse with each other when first mentioned back in Giant Woman. But now that whenever they get the chance to fuse with Garnet, you remember Amethyst was super excited back when they first formed Sugilite. And
Amethyst intensifies.
yeah, and Pearl almost cried. So I guess I hadn't seen that as being a factor. That I guess becoming that triple fusion with Garnet really is a big deal. And like even Amethyst defended it.
Yeah, I mentioned to Ken that old Amethyst, before Reformed, probably would have been all about busting Pearl, but new Amethyst seems much more willing to come to her defense.
Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun just noticing Amethyst like new ways about her. She's definitely different. I'm starting to come around to her again.
Yeah, Pearl's going through a pretty rough time though. I'm not going to abandon my bird mom.
Okay. I think all right. So I wasn't able to report with you guys on the last Stephen Bomb, but let me just say, after Sworn to the Sword, I think Pearl might be my favorite gem. I think that might be the case now.
Well, I think she's pretty great.
It's just such human characteristics and like such like perfect folly. I don't know. She never has Pearl done something bad, and I think, oh well, God, that's unredeemable or that's not understandable. Like she slips up a lot. She slips up, especially recently. She's been slipping up a lot, and
yeah, they've been really taking her through the ringer.
Yeah, they really have. But none of it was things that you couldn't sympathize with. They were all, especially tonight, especially this episode. Like, it's a really vast contrast that I love of putting Pearl at this peak of she doesn't really understand human interaction all that well, and she looks down on them and thinks she, like, understands them from sort of this observer perspective, like a scientist looking down at lab rats.
You used to hunt and gather. What happened to that?
But at the same time, she exhibits the most human tendencies out of all of them, It's, I don't know.
So, do you think that Garnet and Pearl will kiss and make up by the end of the Stephen Bomb?
Considering there's two ways this can go, and if I'm beginning to notice a pattern that each Stephen Bomb is sort of like its own story arc, like its own little comic book arc. Things happen within the Stephen Bomb that also get resolved in the Stephen Bomb. I think there's two ways this could go. Of either this being the very beginning, most likely, yes, they will make up. They'll probably like all band together in the very last episode for the sake of Stephen and realize all that petty stuff we did before. It's no big deal. We've been together for thousands of years. Yada yada yada. But what I'm hoping, like that's the most likely route. But what I'm hoping is that they go a little more interesting in where they disband.
Really?
I'd like to see that. I'd like to see where Garnet like finally just gets fed up with Pearl's tendencies, and Amethyst just sort of like there on the sidelines. Where I don't know,
because I just don't see that happening at all. I
don't see it happening at all. I don't think it will. The most likely is that they'll all come together because it's Steven Universe. You feel good. Nicety, but I'd love to see how the gems got along without each other. And even if they disbanded, they'd get back eventually.
Yeah.
They would. That it would only be a temporary thing.
Because I see Stephen Bomb 3 ending with a fusion. I don't know if that fusion is going to be Sardonyx again, or if it's going to be Opal, but I think it's one of the two.
I think it's going to be Sardonyx, because this was considered like the Sardonyx Stephen Bomb. So I think Sardonyx is going to play a very large role in this. I think we're going to see her again.
Well, if she kicked off the events Friday, the episode summary that they're showing for that is pretty big. I mean, close your ears if you don't want to hear spoilers, but an ancient gem ship, that's going to be news to us.
Oh, I wonder.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder.
So you excited to record with us again tomorrow?
Tomorrow. I'll try, man. I have work again tomorrow. I'll definitely try. For a second, I really want to talk about... There was one episode where we recorded where I said, this isn't my favorite episode, but I think it's the episode that, all Steven Universe episodes should be modeled behind. I think because I can't remember which episode I said, but I think this one beat it. I think this one's perfect. It's got that perfect blend of a dramatic unfolding along with it was humorous. It was funny. Yeah. This was a funny episode. Like the floating sausage, that's great.
It's got the whole package. It's got your magical adventure or magical action. It's got your character stuff, and it was funny.
We had the crying breakfast friends. That was great. And like the little the nice little parallel in the
yes.
Yeah. Why'd you lie to me? I didn't mean to.
It's like, uh-oh.
Steven saying, I'd forgive her.
And Garnet, being all stern.
Yeah. That's great. I love it. But yeah, it was definitely not my favorite episode. I'm only saying that I think I'm going to say that for every episode now. Just not my favorite, because I don't think I could pick one after so many.
Yeah, there have been dozens of episodes. Yeah. I have a hard enough time making a top 10 list, so making me pick one would be cruel.
This one was very good. And I also, after watching, I noticed something in this one. Who was the story? It was Jeff Louie and
Jeff
someone else.
And the other one.
Yeah,
Aren't Jeff and Joe the team?
I think so. I'm actually, before Steven Universe, I was subscribed to Jeff Louie's YouTube channel where he did animations. Like it's, he's definitely. It's interesting seeing this episode was very good animation wise too, very fluid.
Sardonyx is articulated.
Yeah, this is, and looking back at just the first episode, just Gem Glow, we've grown.
Oh yeah,
not everything.
Yep.
Animation wise, we've grown. Dialogue wise, we've grown. This was because I remember back when the dialogue was just super flat in the first half of the season, and then a few episodes even after that, just scattered around. But the dialogue was solid in this one, and just the theme of this, the way it ended, I don't think anyone was predicting that. I don't think anyone was predicting them just end on yep, this happened. Good night.
Yeah, I did like that. The whole, too bad things can't be like they are in cartoons.
That was great.
That's like a Rick and Morty moment almost.
Oh, God.
Okay, that's the end of season 1. Roll credits.
This was a really good episode. I liked it a lot. Before I go, hold on. Before I go, let me just give a quick 2-minute little rundown of what I thought on all of the Stephen Baum's last one. On the last Stephen Baum. Just real quick. Okay. Hunter, rapid fire, go. Okay, let's see. We had Sworn to the Sword. Sworn to the Sword was incredible with a really great 2 songs. 2 songs we got. And one of them was good. The other one was absolutely incredible. We also got to see the more human tendencies of Pearl amplified even more. All right. Rising Tides, Crashing Skies. A really great sort of Garnet's universe, a little episode, just screwing around with a good old. We called this at one point or another, where we said either Mayor Dewey or Ronaldo was going to drive the gyms out of town. We called this, and then keeping it together. Really good, interesting look at Garnet being broken. I think that's the first. That's the first time we've seen Ruby and Sapphire doing their internal dialogue within Garnet.
Yeah.
That really almost broke her. We need to talk. Why can't I remember? We need to talk.
What can I do for you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we finally got, I think we've gotten just enough view of Rose to finally get not only comfortable, but a feeling for who her character is. And I don't think it's what everyone expected. We were all expecting this, this extremely, we were all thinking of this, this wise, almost goddess-like person.
And she's just a goofball.
Yeah, she's just this goof. She doesn't, and she also doesn't understand things. She's a lot like Steven in that respect. Steven really is Rose Quartz, in his own Steven-y way.
Mm-hmm.
And Chili Tid, I liked Chili Tid. I don't know. Chili Tid was weird for me. I don't know. It was a little odd. You had, like we talked about, Cry for Help. It was a good balance between funny stuff and good comedy and drama. This one, it wasn't so much a balance, so much as I don't know. It was sort of weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but well, it is a dream episode, so
yeah. I don't know. And I really liked the part in Pearl's dream. I really liked Pearl's dream. We got this. Yep. Because I'd thought about it before, but I hadn't really like looked too deeply in it, or I thought about it. I was like, nah. Does Pearl just like secretly resent Greg? And now we know. Yes, she does. She is not the biggest fan of Greg.
He did not drive his van into her heart.
Her heart is vanless.
Probably room for 40 or 50 in there, but there's none.
No vans, just none. But yeah, good episode, Chili Tid. Ended a little odd for me. I don't know. Chili Tid was just odd. That's all I can describe it. It was just a little weird. But last Steven Baum, really good. This Steven Baum, with a start like this, Jesus, it's gonna be great.
I don't know. I think Sworn to the Sword is probably the best opening we've got to a Steven Baum yet.
Yeah, Sworn to the Sword. But like, I don't know. Sworn to the Sword was good. Sworn to the Sword was very good. It definitely shed some light.
It's a tough act to follow.
Yeah, on like, because you remember there's so much character development in this from the first. Because you remember, Pearl was just sort of this caricature of this neat, tidy, well put together person. Sort of the Logos of the three, you know. And then we get to this point, and we really see how broken each character is. We really do.
Yep.
Except for Garnet, who is 100% put together all the time, except for in keeping it together.
I wouldn't be so sure. I think some cracks might have developed.
Yeah, I can see that. Garnet's they're all becoming more human. Like the deeper we go into this. Also, the Steven Universe special, What Are Gems?
Yeah,
that was cute.
Nice mess.
I like that. I like that a lot. That was adorable. That's really all I have to say about it. All right, now I really am done.
Awesome.
All right. Well, he's Ken. He's GC13. And I'm Hunter. This is a good episode. Glad to be back.
Kind of.
Later, kiddos.
Our opening and closing music is by James Roach. For more Steven Universe fan-related content, please visit lunarseaspire.com. Thank you for listening.